want to share with you is value of a contact. That's where we'll wrap up. All of these things we talked about today, Facebook, social media, all this stuff is built around what? People. 7 streams, social media, lists, groups. How do I find our people? So when we have these people, the question is where do you put them? Truthfully, where do you put them? Where? In your cell? I'm looking at the crickets. I'm looking at the eyeballs. I know what you're going to answer is, and I know the answer. Look, I myself, if I met somebody new, and I got something written down on a piece of note paper somewhere at a whatever I was, I'd find it 2 months later between the seats of my car, on a sticky note somewhere. I used to find FSBOs like they fall off my desk, just written on stuff, and I lost a lot of money. I really did, if I just had those notes. But let me share with you, everyone talks about what's the value of a lead. What's the value of your leads from Zillow or Realtor.com, whatever. I want to ask you this, what's the value of a contact? And I want to explain that for a second. Think about it. If you went and met somebody at an open house, wrote their name down, or you met the neighbor at an open house, that's a contact, right? I want you to really follow this. This is going to make you think totally different. I want you to visualize. I want you to lose sleep over this one. I do. The value of a contact. If I met 50 people, 50 from an open house, I knocked on their door, I did this or I did that, and I either did something with them or they never ended up in my CRM, what's one of them cost? What's the value of it? And you go, I don't know. How do I do that? What if I said, if I gave you 50 contacts and you met 50 people, eventually in 6 months or a year, could you turn one of them into a sale of something? 50? You have to think about what's your number. Is it 50? Is it 100? If you had 100 contacts, not a lead, contacts, is that a safe number? Pick your number. What's your number? 100? What are you comfortable with? 100? Good. Okay. Get your calculators out. Get your phones out real quick. Get them out. Somebody figure this out with me. 100. Let's use 100. So you have 100 contacts that will eventually turn into something. Probably 50, but let's say 100. What's your average? Who's going to do the example with me on their calculators? Give me one person to work with me. Got it? You got a calculator? Okay. So we got 100. What's your average sale price in your market? Commission, gross commission. Give me a gross commission check. You had the listing side of a deal. 10 grand. Okay? So take 10 grand divided by 100, or 100 divided by 10, whichever way you're doing it. What's the cost per contact? How much? 100 bucks, right? So 100 bucks. So think about that for a second. If you had 100 contacts that never went into your database because you were too busy, or I need to hire somebody to do this because I don't have time, or I don't believe in the systems, and you never put them into your database, it's $100 a contact, because you know if you had them, you'll turn them into money. Is that a buy-in for that or no? Do you believe it? I don't care if your number went to 200 contacts. If you have 200 contacts, you turn it into one sale and make it $50 a contact. You guys have to visualize this. Imagine, I'm at the open house, right? Could you imagine just walking by going, all right, I wrote this down, but it's not going into my database because I'm too busy. And, here's another 50 bucks, 50 bucks. That's because I'm tired today. I don't feel like putting stuff into my CRM. How many of these do you throw away? How many of them do you let go and throw away? How many right now are not in your database? Because guess what? The most important thing you can have with talking about this stuff, in communicating with them and being able to sell them something down the road, all of this stuff in social media and retargeting all relies on one thing: the people, their email address, and their contact information. And if it ends up on a piece of note paper, sticky note, and does not end up into a place you can export it and send it to a company that can go find you business, you lose. Would you ever do this in real life? Because I would follow you around all day. I would. Like, imagine if you just took your sticky notes and then put them in, I just went around and grabbed your sticky notes of leads, of potential contacts. Because eventually people, 5, 6 years, or 3 years, or 2 years, or 2 months, are going to move. Isn't that the truth? Right now, you guys are doing this. Absolutely doing it. And we don't realize it because we think we're too busy for it. And I know it's like another thing to do. It's another system I need. But you're missing the point. Is the future of the business not only is relationships, it's having their data too. Truth? Right? Data. Data, email addresses. The number one thing, any of you hear predictive data right now? Do you know what the term predictive data is? Predictive. It's going to predict who's more likely to buy or sell a house in the next 6 months to a year. One of our guy I know has a company. You can jot it down too. Check them out. First First.io. You could send them your entire email database right now. And it'll take all of your clients out of your phone on your database, score them. It's going to go find their social media profiles, their financial profiles. Do they have a mortgage? Do they have any equity? Do they have any kids in school? How many car payments do they have? What's their likelihood of being able to make a move in the next 6 to 10 months? And score them for you and put them into a dashboard. And then it's going to tell you once a week, hey, here's 5 people, just 5, that have a high score you probably should be talking to. Something's happening. Right? Imagine out of your 500, here's 5. Something's happening. And here's the funny part. I sit with him once a year. We kind of do some stuff. I'm looking to get on his advisory board, full transparency. I believe in the product. And he says to me, he looks at me, he goes, we're having dinner one night in Atlantic City. He goes, what's wrong with real estate agents? I go, why? He's like a data geek, right? I go, why? He goes, we were showing people 10 people to call. Here's 10 to call that are most likely to buy or sell. And then we tracked over a year all the people we recommended and how many actually went and bought and sold homes. And he goes, we have an agent that had 76 potential sales that happened, and he got 2. And they were in his database. How come he didn't get 10 or 12 or 20? Like, what is wrong? They're not calling the people we're telling them to call. So he goes, we're just going to make it 5 now. I don't know, maybe 10's too many. 5. So he goes, I don't know what else to do. Like, we're telling them to call. And we could show them that over a year they're buying real estate or selling real estate, and they're still not talking to them. So it's all found from the power of like a Gmail address. Not the corporate address, not the IBM one, because the servers will block it. But guess what? When you sign up for a credit card, you're using your personal email address. When you're shopping, when you're signing up for things, and your magazine subscriptions, and all this other stuff, it's all coming from a name, email address, and contact. And all this data is going to have, it has power now, but if you don't have it in 3 to 5 years in a place where you can use it, it's your business. It's going to get lost. Someone else is going to get it. So we need to focus on where that's going, and we're going to talk about that with the next speaker up in a second. So that's where I wanted to end with on that, is making sure you understand the value of a contact, not even a lead. 100 turns into money. 50 turns into money. They got to go someplace.